Welcome, everybody, to the How to Find Almost Anything in Transit with the Find Anything Toolkit from National RTAP. Your search is over. You found this. So let's get started. Before we start, a little bit of housekeeping. You can ask questions or share comments. Somebody already did introducing themselves in the chat throughout the webinar. During the presentation portion, participants will be muted, and during the question and answer portion, you may raise your hand and will be called upon to unmute yourself and ask a question or share a comment. You can still use the chat or the Q&A. The slides and a recording of this presentation will be posted to the National RTAP webinars page within a week of today. Tomorrow, you'll receive a brief survey to help us improve future webinars and give us feedback on this webinar. So we hope you'll be able to fill this out. Now, we're probably all very, very familiar with Zoom at this point, but just in case it's your very first time, your video can be on or off. Please stay muted during the presentation. The chat box is in the middle. Raise your hand is in the reactions. And if you have technical difficulties, you can chat about that and we will try to assist you. So now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with National RTAP, National Rural Transit Assistance Program, we are a technical assistance center funded by FTA, the Federal Transit Administration, through the Section 5311 Rural Program. We provide free training materials and technical assistance to rural and tribal transit providers and to state RTAPs. This webinar is one of our TA resources. We are governed by a review board, 14 state DOT and rural and tribal transit agency staff and managers from across the country. You can learn more on our website. It's very easy, nationalrtap.org. And the picture is a screenshot of the homepage of our webinar. What can National RTAP do for you? Well, today we're going to teach you how to be a better searcher. And if you're looking and searching for information about transportation coordination, National RTAP administers a library for FTA and all of its technical assistance centers called TACL, the Transportation Technical Assistance Coordination Library. That library has everything you'll need to know about transportation coordination. And there'll be another webinar coming up in August about how to use that. Just wanted to bring it to your attention. Now let's introduce today's panelists. I've been talking. I'm Kara Marcus, Knowledge and Resource Manager for National RTAP. And we decided to use sort of fun, informal photos for today rather than headshots. The director of Nassau Transit in Florida was kind enough to let me take this photo to pretend to drive a bus. And I now will introduce Laura Korf, who is the transit director for United Community Action Program, Cimarron Transit in Oklahoma. She is an amazing transit manager and a champion for mobility throughout the state. Really a lot of amazing work, including being on our review board for the past 3 years and reviewing so many different materials for us, training modules, technical briefs, all of our toolkits, including Laura was the sole reviewer for this one. And very happy to know that even though she's transitioned off the review board, Laura will continue to review for TACL. So you'll hear from both of us throughout the webinar. And we're very happy to help you find almost anything. So how do you find the Find Anything toolkit? Just like everything about this toolkit, we wanted to make it really easy for you. So if you go on the nationalrtap.org website, mouse over our resources mega menu, and you'll see toolkits. Click on the Find Anything toolkit. Very easy to find. You can also find it from our search bar that's on any page of nationalrtap.org. Type in Find Anything Toolkit, hit search, and there it is. as well as in our resource library, which is also in our mega menu. Click Find Anything Toolkit, search, and there it is. And if you need another way to find it, there's a URL, very easy, nationalrtap.org, toolkits, Find Anything Toolkit. And if you really can't find it, let us know. info@nationalrtap.org will get you there. A little bit of background about the Find Anything Toolkit. Some of you might have been familiar with it, and for others, it's brand new. So it's not a new toolkit, but it's a completely revised toolkit. We have Laura to thank for a lot of that. It was started by one of my predecessors, Jess Wallace, who was the Resource Center Manager many years ago for National RTAP. And the planning for this toolkit started way back in 2012. Yes, we did have internet back then. The original name of the toolkit was Free Technical Assistance Resources Toolkit. I'm glad it's not called that anymore, but we do still offer lots of free technical assistance and resources throughout the toolkit. After all that planning, it was launched in 2014, along with our other toolkits, as the How to Find Almost Anything toolkit. You'll notice that our title of today's webinar is based on that. And we shortened it when we revised it to the Find Anything toolkit. Short but sweet. We, again, want to make it easy for you. Now, looking at the contents, the table of contents from 2014 to now, there was a lot of links in there, a lot of links, sublinks, and you're wondering what's the difference between information and best practices and technical assistance and technology tools. And I didn't really think it was as easy to find the way it was as it could have been. So we really streamlined it. You'll just see a table of contents with really what you need to know. Welcome, of course, fundamentals of searching, uncovering data, knowledge management approaches, peer support, state transit associations, policies and procedures, assisting people with finding transportation, and hot topics. So where did everything go? Nothing disappeared, but this handy chart will tell you where things were either moved or merged, or if they're new. Like starting the search, formulate a question, narrow the topic, identify information clearinghouses. Those were all merged. And the new name is Fundamentals of Searching for Results. So all the good content is there. It's just under one page. Uncovering data is a brand new page. We get questions about data all the time. So hopefully this section will help you find the data that you need. Free and low-cost resources, information, and best practices. Now, since we started the toolkits, we started topic guide pages in the National RTAP website. They're also in our resources mega menu. So we moved those, and we put redirects in case you had bookmarked any of those pages. Knowledge management approaches is also a new page, and we're excited to introduce that too. Peer assistance, online dialogues and forums, technical assistance, those were all merged and changed to peer support. It's all about your peers. Hot topics stayed, there'll always be hot topics. Policies, procedures stayed too. You should always have policies and procedures. And technology tools, we had a page in the Find Anything toolkit, but now we have a lot of our own technology tools like Procurement Pro, GTFS Builder. So we moved this page to that page with a redirect. Training opportunities, we now have a training page, so we moved that. Conferences, we have a conferences page, we moved that. And assisting people with finding transportation. I say that's a new page. It's not as new as some of the other new pages. It's probably here since maybe 2019. but I think you'll really find it useful. And we're always updating these pages as well. Digital news and blogs moved to the news page. We kept the State Transit Associations where it is, and the state RTAP 5311 website. We moved to, very logically, the state RTAP Manager's Toolkit. So that's where everything went. And now I'm going to turn it over to Laura, who's going to talk about something special in the Find Anything Toolkit, the 5 W's.
Certainly. Planning ahead before jumping into a new project can be helpful and often save you some time. So as part of the planning process, consider some of the W's to assist you with a research roadmap. For example, every quarter I'm on the lookout for safety tips and articles to include in our staff newsletters and driver tailgate training. So formulate the questions you want to ask, what information you hope to discover in your research, and where you could find it. What data do you have? What new data do you want to track? Are you starting a new project? Did you receive a request for information? Who needs the information? And even who may have expertise? Consider inside resources too. I often begin by reviewing National RTAP's technical briefs and best practices, which also offer resources and/or further information at the end of each. Kara?
It's really something that you can personalize and just think about. Don't just hit search. Think about what research you're doing. Why? All those W's. And now let's talk about search. Now, when we talk about search, most people, well, at least before ChatGPT, think Google. And even librarians use it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. It should definitely be a part of your search to use Google and other search engines. But when you do, be a smart searcher. The Find Anything Toolkit gives you a lot of tips about how to make these search engines sing. Now, in Google and a lot of search engines, even sophisticated library databases, you need to search for all the sort of ways you can think about a concept. This is a search done at the exact same time for non-emergency transportation and NEMT. And you'll notice the first couple of resources are completely different. And you'll find that whichever search engine you search, try thinking of different terms, different ways you can conceptualize something. You could also try medical transportation, Medicaid transportation. You'll also get different results. So don't just limit your search to one word or phrase. And if you're doing more than one, and Laura will talk more about this, use what's called Boolean or, so it'll capture everything in your search. You can use and to get all of the words or phrases, or to get either or, and not. Say if you don't want children, you would do not children, and that would further limit your search. So Laura, let's talk about advanced. Or actually, I'm talking about that, I think. So, okay, this is to even make it more precise. If you're using Google and say you looked for the word bus, you'll get millions of sites, and a lot of them might not even be anything you're looking for. But if you do bus with site:/gov, it'll search government sites that have the word bus. You might get things from FTA, FMCSA, FHWA, or even things like EPA, outside of transportation, but you'll get government sites. You could also search EDU for educational sites, ORG, for organizational sites like National RTAP. And when you get on the Find Anything Toolkit, you'll see the most popular search engines, how to use. So it will give you tips, not just for Google, but for Bing and a lot of the other ones too. I mentioned the Boolean. You can use parentheses, and you can use quotation marks. So this search, bus and with parentheses, rules or regulations, with the site transit.gov. So that's the site for FTA. So it will search only the FTA website for rules and regulations about bus. So notice the first, if you're just looking for bus, you're really not going to find all that much that's relevant. But the more you use precision search, the more relevant resources that you'll find. You can also search by format. So maybe you're looking for policies. If you do just paratransit, and you might get some blogs or some social posts, but if you do paratransit file type PDF, it'll retrieve documents about paratransit in Adobe PDF format. And again, you could do paratransit and policy or policies. You can really get good and fancy with this, and your searches will become more precise. You can also search the title of an article. All in title, paratransit will retrieve not only documents about paratransit, but where that word is in the title of the web page or article. Now, if you like Google, you can search not just the regular search engine, you can search Google Scholar, which is what it sounds like, scholarly articles. And a lot of them are in full text, books for full text books, news for news items and reports, and images. So it really has a lot. There's a lot more than that too. And now the next slide is for Laura. This is beyond Google.
There are hundreds of search engines. And if you're like me, I was only using Google for everything. And of course, I had less than optimal results. The good news is by using different search engines, you'll have assorted results like Kara indicated. A variety of material can be found more easily utilizing techniques from the Find Anything Toolkit. With some forethought, you will know whether you want to begin by asking simple questions or starting with a definition. As an example, I recently received an email about driver journey management. So I asked in the Ask search engine, I typed in a straightforward question. What is driver journey management? The definition tweaked my curiosity. So I typed driver journey management into Earth Scout. The search resulted in numerous software options and responses from other countries. I wasn't really interested in purchasing software, so I tried Dogpal and OneSearch. And I discovered multiple sources, including a driver journey management toolkit, videos, and training templates. Should you have an interest in a more scholarly scope, the HathiTrust Digital Library is a repository of digital content. The site maintains millions of books and journals from libraries around the world, including contributions from U.S. academic institutions. The list Kara provides is tried and trusted. If you know others to be added, please share them in the chat box or send them to info@nationalrtap.org. Kara?
We are always adding more, and we get tips from users like you. So like Laura said, there are many, many search engines, and probably every day there's more. So if you find a good one, let us know. You can also search individual transportation journals, like Journal of Public Transportation and many, many others. And that way you'll find peer-reviewed articles as well. And many of them are free and full text. We talked about search. Now let's talk about research. And when you think about research, the first thing you think about is libraries. National RTAP has a library, TACL has a library, and there's probably, I don't know, millions of libraries, and they all have resources at your fingertips. There are public libraries in your own hometown. And yes, they're happy to answer questions from transit associations or organizations. Don't think that they're only there for people who are walking in. If you live somewhere, you can call them, sometimes even email them, and they might have an answer. Your state Department of Transportation, many of them have libraries with really, really great librarians, and they're really waiting for questions. There's the National Transportation Library, and that's for everybody too. They have the Rosa P. There's the TRB library. There's more than I can even count. And many have specialized databases and reference and research staff. Now, don't think that if you're, asking a librarian or information management professional a question, that you're bothering them. Just the opposite. People who enter this field really, really want to help. So if you're trying to find something and you really just can't, see what libraries can help you. There's also technical assistance organizations. You saw National RTAP and all our other FTA, TA Center libraries that are in TACL. They all have great staffs who can help you on all kinds of topics, like the National Aging and Disability Transportation Center has experts on seniors and persons with disabilities. So think of, what specific organization you want to reach out to, and then just ask. There's many federal agencies that have staff who are there to provide technical assistance and help, including USDOT and FTA. Don't think that they're too large to help. A lot of their web pages have at the bottom, who is there if you have questions. Other federal organizations like EPA and USDA have whole teams to help. Now think local and regional. State transit associations, we have a whole page for that in the toolkit. And local, chambers of commerce, local government offices, etc. Now you're a transit agency and you have a question about, the population or, economics in your area, who's better to ask than somebody local? So reach out. And with the National RTAP Library, we're always here for you, including if you want to visit. And we don't look like this, our library, and I don't look like that, but still here to help you. So don't be afraid. Now, uncovering data. Back to Laura.
When the need is for more statistical data or critical information related to the transit industry, go to the source where the information is collected. If you want regulations, transit.gov is the FTA website with circulars, FAQs, Title VI, ADA proposed rulemaking galore. The Rural Integrated National Transit Database has a prior National RTAP webinar recordings posted on YouTube. You'll find presentations on GTFS, succession planning, knowledge sharing, TACL, and cost allocation, to name a few. Additionally, you can review NTD data, analyze it, run customized reports, and find peer transit agencies in the database. Using the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, you can find where EV charging stations are located throughout the U.S., review annual reports of transportation data on national trends, public transit contributions to the economy, and national system performance stats, data that is useful when preparing information to present to new partners, city councils, or the community in support of public transit. Annually, we review and update our demographics for the Section 5311 application using the U.S. Census site. We can review data profiles by town or county and filter by topics such as race, population, housing, poverty, etc. Kara?
And that's a good use of data, and you'll find even more tips on this page, uncovering data. So again, just like in the previous page, when you're on one of these database pages, sometimes it's hard to navigate. There's usually a help button or person to ask on the page. So don't feel that you have to go it alone. And now, speaking of a difficult situation, here's a scenario we have in our toolkit. I'll read it aloud. You know that report we're supposed to write? Didn't our team do a presentation on that last year? The data would be helpful. So her colleague says, I remember that, but I have no idea where to find it. Do you know the title of it? Who did it? Was it recorded? I have no idea. Sorry. Does this sound familiar to you? When you're looking for internal data or reports or anything, where do you find it? How do you find it? Where did it go? There is a better way, and it's called knowledge management. Knowledge management, also known as KM, is the efficient storage and retrieval of information and resources within an organization. It's usually accomplished by appointing one or more staff with expertise in this area to become KM champions and define approaches to collective organization, naming, and sharing of resources. KM works best when everyone in the organization buys into the approach and follows the conventions decided upon. Now, you may think you need a whole team or specialized staff or training. That's good, but what you really need is somebody to understand it and believe in it. And like they say, just do it. And on the next slide, Laura is going to talk about how her organization instituted a knowledge management approach that really worked. And you'll see the colleagues, they look a lot happier now.
Yes. When our agency wanted to track accidents, incidents, hazards, near misses, complaints, and compliments. And as a rural on a budget, we track it old school. So we chose our operations specialist to be the knowledge lead and decided to maintain the data in Excel. That's our platform, I guess. In the beginning, we had multiple forms of staff that staff used to report their information. We had accident forms and customer service forms, investigation forms, and incident forms. So over the years, we standardized the forms to assist with uniformity of data. All the forms are routed to the lead, who records and updates the spreadsheet. Then the lead provides quarterly updates to the Safety and Training Committee, and we identify patterns to assist with future training needs or areas in need of improvement. Periodically, we've modified the spreadsheet, added columns for new data. Recently, she color-coded the data by event type. Excel provides flexibility for us. We have a tab for each year and can sort data chronologically or by event. Now, we've also had a few projects with other 5311s. We were applying for grant applications, anytime we were updating agreements, policies, and we used Google Docs. Google Docs helped to facilitate that. So all of the information was maintained in one place. One person was the lead, and then the app tracked our comments, and the lead would review and make the final adjustment. So we had one working living document. Also sharing multiple files. I've used Google Docs. It was great for supporting for the supporting files for our annual application to our DOT. And the same idea goes for Google Sheets. Internally, our finance department uploads multiple spreadsheets into Google Sheets. So it facilitates documenting for our monthly claims to DOT. And in both of these options, the lead can add to the project and all parties are updated with the access. It's kind of nice and clean. Kara?
That's a great example. So it really shows that knowledge management works very well in transit agencies, large and small, and in all kinds of organizations. And, the toolkit has a lot of good tips and techniques for implementing knowledge management in your organization. Now let's talk a little bit about peer support. The next couple of slides talk about that. Webinar is one way of doing peer support, but peer support can be one-to-one. It can be a simple interaction, such as through an email or a phone conversation or a in-person meeting, or it might involve a more comprehensive conversation or a series. You might have a peer or a mentor or a group or a committee or a task force that you work with about anything from starting up a transit agency to understanding what information to include in an effective grant proposal. So your peers can be from another transit agency, they can be from a technical assistance organization. They really can be anybody who has expertise and knowledge in what you're trying to find and understand. So how do you find these peers? The section of the toolkit on peer support contains lots of links to online dialogues and forums. National RTAP maintains many of them, such as the Rural Transit Managers Forum, the State RTAP Managers Forum, the Tribal Transit Managers Forum, and the Intercity Bus Transportation Forum. They're all peer forums that are online. They're available 24/7. You can ask a question, you'll get an answer. Today, there was a question on, does anyone have recommendations for dispatch software? And more than likely, somebody will have an answer. And then you start a new communication, start a new peer conversation. Now, technical assistance resources, these are organizations like the FTA, TA centers and others that are just there for all of you to provide technical assistance on various topics. And nobody can be an expert on everything. So it's great to have specific resources like the National Center for Mobility Management, who's an expert on mobility management, and many others that if you know you have a question, see this section of the toolkit and see what peer technical assistance resources there are. Now, we also have resources for peer assistance for state DOTs, like the AASHTO MTAP. And a lot of these, like that one, get together regularly in webinars or peer sharing and in person. And they also have forums online to ask questions. And don't forget about, or maybe you never even thought about these, university transportation centers. A lot of the major universities around the country have all kinds of experts on. They all have a niche. They all have expertise on different things. Some of them have tribal transit programs or infrastructure programs. So take a look at this section of the toolkit if you're looking for a special peer. And if you don't find it, again, reach out to info@nationalrtap.org and we'll find you a peer. We can even find you a peer within a different transit organization who we know has done something that you're planning and put you in touch. Laura's going to talk more about what you'll find in the toolkit on peer support.
There's nothing more comforting than to have support from your peers. affirmation when learning a colleague is experiencing the same issues, or to have a sounding board when trying to work through a problem. Be a mentor for a new transit manager, share policies and procedures, and be proactive to reach out to newbies. New transit managers should feel confident to reach out for help, and I find most colleagues like to share what they know. National RTAP has a closed, secure Facebook peer network where colleagues throw out questions or needs. This platform is informal and helpful if you like it or on social media. And you might receive questions or comments from colleagues all over the U.S. And as Kara alluded to, National RTAP periodically hosts virtual forums for managers, tribes, RTAP managers, DOTs, and all the upcoming sessions are posted at the National RTAP website, as well as included in her e-newsletters. So, Kara?
Yeah, and if you don't feel comfortable on our forums sharing your own question, we're happy to do so anonymously on your behalf and assemble the results and just send them to you via email. And our forums that are more webinar based are really nice because then you can be on a Zoom, see people's faces. It's not just purely online. And you really get to know some of your peers that way. I know, Laura, you've been on the transit managers peer roundtables, and you've gotten to both be a giver and receiver of information.
Yes.
So we have one coming up soon for state RTAP managers, and we're planning an intercity one pretty soon. Okay, so another peer you'll find at your state transit associations. They can be excellent sources for training and technical assistance. Many have annual conferences or even more often where members can network with their peers. You can attend training sessions. You can go to bus rodeos. You can, take courses. And you really can get to know both the people at the State Transit Association and other transit providers in your state. Now, in our toolkit, we've linked to not the logos, but the websites. I just put the logos on so you can see an assortment of the ones we link to. And not all of them have websites, but we provided links to the ones that do. And if you're looking for one that doesn't have a website and you still need to find them, contact us at info@nationalrtap.org and we'll put you in touch. So National RTAP tries to attend as many of these as we can. And you'll find us there. We often have a booth, or we'll do a National RTAP 101 presentation. So you'll see us all over the country. And that's another way to ask us for help with your research project. We always have a sheet. You can write down what you need and we'll find it for you. So Laura, talk about what our toolkit does for policies and procedures and how you've used it.
In the toolkit under policies and procedures, you'll find a sampling of sources you can click on that take you directly to sample policies, templates, as well as training resources. For example, Kansas RTAP is one of my favorites. There's a drop box of predetermined topic choices where I can select fact sheets and training tools. If you want to review HR policies, Ohio DOT has several good examples directly on their website that you can download. For social media policies, Southwest Transit Association has some samples. And if you don't find what you're looking for, remember you could submit a topic through this page of the toolkit to info@nationalrtap.org.
Yeah, just remember you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's probably a policy already out there. And it's good to see what one or more organizations have done, and then you can grow your own. So this word cloud shows some of the policies that we link to in the toolkit page, but with everything, we're always adding new ones. So if you have any of your policies online that you'd like us to add to the toolkit, let us know and we'll take a look. So this is a page that is one of our fairly new pages, and it's called Assisting People with Finding Transportation. So you always help people find transportation if you have your own transit agency or if you're a mobility manager. But sometimes it's really, really hard, especially in rural areas that might not have a public transit agency, or they might not even have, really any transportation way out there. So this page talks about how to find transportation for people, and National RTAP gets calls every week, sometimes almost every day, from people who need to get to their new job. They need to get to the doctor. They need to get to, they just started college. How do they do that? So this page gives tips. How do you travel from point A to point B? So some of the tips: somebody calls and asks for assistance finding transportation. You may be able to help the person right away, but if not, you can gather basic information about them, perform online and telephone research. I find that when people ask me, sometimes I call, like I said, the Chamber of Commerce or, the town hall for a community, and they might have information that isn't online, and prepare the information so that person will be able to use it. It's not easy, and there's been a few times where there really, really hasn't been a good way for somebody to get from point A to point B, especially if they have to go across counties, but this page will help you help them. Laura?
Yes, just as there's data for providers, writers also have options to find where transportation is available. In the toolkit, you can click on the databases included in the PowerPoint. National RTAP has a spreadsheet of providers. The National Center for Mobility Management also has a spreadsheet of providers. These spreadsheets can be sorted by state, and basic contact information is included. In the National Center for Mobility Management database of volunteer drivers, they host a map, and you just simply hone in on your area to find volunteer drivers. Find Help is also a good tool for finding food pantries, and when you have riders that have needs, you have a resource to help with referrals. Rides Insight was helpful and easy to use. Providers can be filtered by state and county, and of course the contact information is listed. And I recommend that you be proactive and check to be sure your agency is included in these databases. And if not, simply reach out to the site creator, share the pertinent information, and ask that your agency be included. And as we find more databases, National RTAP will include them in the toolkit. Kara?
I find that when we get these questions, I search all of them because they do all have some hidden gems in them. The NCMM Community Transportation Database is probably the newest one, and it has so many different transit agencies and sources of transportation in it that are, even ones that are not in the National Transit Map, which has a lot too. So search them all. And like Laura said, let us know if you want yours to be in the National RTAP Rural Transportation List, because we depend on people like you to tell us who you are. Okay, now we're getting hot. We're talking about hot topics. So like I said, we have our regular topic guides, and those are on things that people ask about all the time, like ADA and procurement and transit asset management. But every year, what we do is look at all the questions that we get asked and within the past year. And there are sometimes the same questions, but sometimes very different. So I do keep records of the ones we've had in the past. So you could ask for those if you're like, what happened to your GTFS hot topic guide? It's still there, it's just not online. This is the most recent hot topic guide. And we link to them from our regular topic guides page. So over the past year, the questions that people ask most about have been bus stops, climate change, construction, cybersecurity, driver recruitment, marketing, and Medicaid transportation. Some of these might be hot topics for your organization too. So when you look at them, and this PowerPoint will be clickable links, you'll see a curated list of resources. Not a million, it won't be hard to go through them, but just really the ones that we think will be best for you in starting your research on these topics. So the next group of hot topic guides will be starting this summer or fall. So again, we'll announce it in our e-news. And now we're ready for your questions. And your questions can be about something in the Find Anything toolkit, or even if you want us to show you a page or do a search. You can put your questions in the chat, the Q&A, or raise your hand. Laura, I have a question for you. When you were, reviewing the toolkit, and especially you were reviewing things like data and knowledge management, did it really, make you think of something that you had to do differently, or I know you said a lot in your presentation that there were things that you didn't know about. What surprised you in the toolkit?
Just how easy everything's in one space, and you can just kind of skim through and click, and you go directly where information is just right at your fingertips. Oftentimes, you don't even need to go very far. There's this National RTAP makes it very easy and convenient. Knowledge management, I didn't realize that some of our projects involved that. I didn't know there was a term for it. So that was kind of enlightening. It was a good journey.
Oh, thank you, Laura. And we did get a question. Do any of your resources in the toolkit have examples of subrecipient monitoring policies and programs? I'm going to answer that live. Let me stop share and go into the toolkit. And I will go into the policies page, and then I'll share again. Okay, we are in the actual toolkit. So the policies and procedures lists policies and procedures from different RTAPs, different DOTs, and state transit associations, etc. So yes, I think this would do it. What you're talking about, Utah's, Wisconsin. So take a look, and I haven't looked for that particular question, subrecipient monitoring policies and programs. but take a look, and I can too. And if you want to just share with me afterwards who you are, and if we don't find it in the toolkit, I'll find it for you. And if you send me an email to info@nationalrtap.org, I will find you policies on that topic.
And Kara, there were FTA did some listening sessions, and it kind of like for the triennial reviews, and there were some, I thought there were some forms, but there might be something in, fta.dot.gov and triennial reviews might be helpful.
And see, we're doing just a plain old Google search, and Laura knows her stuff. So this might be exactly what you're looking for. Program oversight, webinars, and training.
Yeah, they split it out into, specific topics, but it was helpful.
Thank you, Laura. Any other questions? Somebody said no questions, looking forward to exploring. Hope you all look forward to exploring our toolkit. At the bottom of every page, we have a suggested topic button. If you don't see what you need, fill that out and it will go right to us. And then we will be able to include it in the next iteration of the toolkit. Thank you to everybody. This is how to reach us, info@nationalrtap.org. You can also scan the QR codes with your phone to reach our website, our e-news, and our social media platforms. We hope to see you at many of our future training sessions, including a big one we're planning December 3rd through 6th in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We'll be back in person for our Technical Assistance Conference, and check our website and our e-news for more information when registration opens for that. So go out and use our Find Anything toolkit and find it. Have a great day.